In the summer of 1994, a young man named Jeffrey Preston Bezos sat at his desk on Wall Street. He had what many people would call the perfect job, a senior vice president at a hedge fund called D.E. Shaw & Company. The pay was excellent. The office was in Manhattan. The future was secure. But Jeff Bezos was staring at something that would change everything, a statistic that said the internet was growing at 2,300% per year. That number lit a spark in his mind. He began to wonder, what if this new thing, the internet, could sell everything? Books, music, electronics, all from a screen. At the time, it sounded crazy. Nobody was buying online. People barely trusted the idea of typing their credit card number into a computer. Yet, Jeff couldn't shake the thought. He knew if he didn't try, someone else would. So one day, he walked into his boss's office and told him about the idea, an online bookstore. His boss listened carefully and said, "It's a good idea, Jeff, but it would be better for someone who doesn't already have a good job." That one line changed his life. Bezos went home, made a list of pros and cons, and realized he would rather try and fail than never try at all. He called it a regret minimization framework, a fancy way of saying he didn't want to look back at age 80 and wonder what if. And so, at 30 years old, Jeff Bezos packed his bags, quit his job, and drove across the country with his wife, Mackenzie, from New York to Seattle. In the car, he wrote the business plan for what would become Amazon.com. He chose books as the first product because there were millions of them, easy to ship, and everyone read them. The idea was simple. Create an online store where anyone could buy any book, anywhere, anytime. When he arrived in Seattle, he rented a small 2-car garage. No fancy office. No employees. Just a desk made out of a wooden door and 4 pieces of 2x4 lumber. That garage would become the birthplace of Amazon, the garage that changed the world. In July 1995, Amazon.com went live. At first, it was just Jeff, Mackenzie, and a few early employees. They packed books by hand, drove to the post office themselves, and even rang a bell in the office every time a new order came in. Within 30 days, Amazon had shipped books to all 50 US states and over 45 countries. It was small, but it was working. Then came the media attention. Reporters laughed, calling it Amazon bomb. Traditional bookstores thought it was just a gimmick. Big investors ignored him. But Bezos didn't care. He had a vision much bigger than books. He wanted Amazon to be the everything store. By 1997, Amazon went public. Its IPO raised $54 million. And by the early 2000s, it had expanded into music, DVDs, and electronics. Then came a defining moment, the dot-com crash of 2000. Thousands of internet companies went bankrupt overnight. Amazon's stock dropped by more than 90%. Everyone said it was finished. But Bezos refused to give up. He told his team, "If we stick to what's right for the customer, everything else will follow." He focused on 3 principles that would guide Amazon forever. Customer obsession, not competitor obsession. Long-term thinking. Relentless innovation. Those 3 ideas became Amazon's DNA. While others were panicking, Bezos doubled down on infrastructure. He built better warehouses, faster delivery systems, and developed early versions of what would later become Amazon Prime, a membership program that offered fast shipping for a small annual fee. At first, people thought Prime was a bad idea. It was expensive and risky. But it transformed the company. Customers loved it. They began buying more, trusting more, and depending on Amazon for nearly everything. Bezos once said, "If you do build a great experience, customers tell each other about that." Word of mouth is very powerful. And that's exactly what happened. Then came another breakthrough: Amazon Web Services, or AWS. It started as an internal tool to manage Amazon's servers but evolved into something far bigger. Bezos realized that other businesses needed cloud computing power too: storage, databases, servers, all available on demand. So in 2006, Amazon launched AWS publicly. That decision would make Amazon not just an online store but a technology empire. Today, AWS powers companies like Netflix, Airbnb, and even parts of NASA. It became the engine that silently runs the modern internet. But Bezos's vision didn't stop there. He wanted to create a company that would last for generations. He launched Kindle to revolutionize reading, Alexa to change the way people interact with technology, and even ventured into space with his company Blue Origin, driven by his lifelong dream of exploring beyond Earth. In interviews, he often said, "We are stubborn on vision, but flexible on details." That meant the goal never changed, but the path could. By the 2010s, Amazon had become a global powerhouse, from a garage startup to a company worth over $1 trillion. Millions of sellers relied on Amazon to reach customers. Millions of jobs were created across the world. And Jeff Bezos became one of the richest men in history, not because he sold books, but because he sold convenience, trust, and speed. Still, Bezos never saw Amazon as finished. He believed it was day one, every single day. He even named his building Day One Tower to remind employees that innovation never sleeps. Of course, the journey wasn't without controversy. Amazon faced criticism for working conditions, competition practices, and its impact on small businesses. But Bezos always responded with one message: the customer comes first. Love him or hate him, his philosophy changed how the world shops, reads, and even thinks about technology. In 2021, after 27 years as CEO, Jeff Bezos stepped down to focus on other ventures, including Blue Origin and his philanthropic efforts. He handed over the reins but left behind a legacy that started with one small garage, a few desks made from doors, and a dream fueled by data and determination. Today, when you click "Buy Now" on Amazon, you're participating in a story that began with one man's decision to take a risk, to leave comfort for curiosity. Jeff Bezos once said, "I knew that if I failed, I wouldn't regret that. But I knew the one thing I might regret is not trying." That's the true story of Amazon. Not just a company, but a symbol of what happens when bold ideas meet relentless execution. So the next time you order something online, remember, it all started in a humble garage in Seattle, with a man who believed that the internet could